Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Ghosh, Head Economy Affairs and Policy in Indian Chamber of Commerce. This is on the 27th episode of ICC Biz Live, which is our knowledge show involving C-suite people. Today we have Mr. Venkateshwarlu Madala, CEO and founder, Cybert. He's a cybersecurity expert. He is based in Hyderabad. And now I would request Mr. Madala to briefly explain his profile for the benefit of the audience and so that people can get the benefit of his service later on. Mr. Madala, please, before we go on to the technicals, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Dr. Ghosh, for this opportunity. Thank you, ICC, and congratulations for the 100 years on the beginning. And this is Venkateshwarlu Madala. So this is around almost 29th, 30th year into information technology year, where I started working from the basics like Fox-based Fox Pro long time back, and from there we got into the regular introductions of computers in 90s. Then late we worked with companies wherein I got accustomed to the next databases networking. And from 2006, I would say we started working on cybersecurity. So cybersecurity is always an independent a genre or an independent stream, because anything and everything needs cybersecurity today. So that is where I got introduced to cybersecurity way back in 2006 when I was working for AT&T. And from there we continued it, and cybersecurity started evolving from there. Cyber threats also started evolving from there. The more the people are on internet, the more the applications on internet, the more the people who are on internet, the moment they are on internet, there is where the threat comes in. So the mitigation and everything, we learned it over a period of time. I don't call myself an expert. I am a learner of cybersecurity. I learn every time. I learn. There's every time a new problem. We understand the problem. We try to solve the problem, and each customer has its own way of like how a doctor treats a patient. Each patient differently. Cybersecurity also, it's not for a one solution for everyone. It goes through individual understanding of business, technology systems, and customizing solutions. That is an area which I specialize in. And all, as this is cyber security, this all your information will be confidential, all your problem statements will be confidential, and we try to solve them as simple as that. That is where we have a small group of team with me. We are currently working on AI threats to cyber security. We are also building certain solution to AI phishing, like the phishing threats which we have tested a POC. Now we are actually productizing it. And yes, that is where we are going. And if you ask me what do you do, then I said this is what I do, and this is what I can give to the audience.
Very, very nice and very humble of you. And now question is, I know a little bit of finance. As far as I understand, fintech is the same thing what we commonly understand as finance, as like mutual fund, insurance, fixed deposits, uh, equity, but all the loans, and all that, but using application or technology. Fintech is not anything separate, but common financial service integrated with technology. Now question is, how is cyber security in fintech such an important topic nowadays?
Great. So we should always understand. Go back. I will not be more technical, but I'll be the fundamental principle of any cyber threat or a cyber hack is to get very critical information of any customer. So where is the customer in critical information located? The customer critical information is located in his bank statements, in his debentures, in his assets, in the data which is being stored, the data which is getting transferred to bank, the customer data which is coming in, the payments which are being made. Everything and anything, the heart of any company globally is the fintech. So fintech lives and drives on thing. So whenever we talk about cyber threat, so people will always try to, like how we always go for the honey, or how money heist is done. Everything is all about money. Recently, if you notice, Dr. Ghosh, like in the Paris, they went for to the museum and actually stolen few very valuable things. So why?
Yeah.
Because it's a value. It's the same way in fintech, financial and technology are a combination, are a very, very good combination for anyone who wants to pick it up, right? So that is where finance and fintech becomes very critical, and that needs a very good cyber resilience and cyber shield in any organization. That is the reason it becomes more critical. And with the advent of AI, the more and more sophisticated attacks are being done. People are trying to get as much information as possible because everyone lives on internet and thrives on internet today. So all the leadership team or fintech works on that. So I would say yes, it is very, very important.
So what is the cost implications of fintech's security breach? I mean, if cost was not high, then it would not be a leadership priority now, isn't it? So it is. I understand it is a leadership priority today. Can you elaborate a bit? We cannot hear you, Venkat.
Okay, sorry, I was talking on mute. Apologies for that. So, whenever we talk about the cyber threat, see what is the most important part of leadership is I don't need to do very complicated. See, a complicated thing to make the fintech thing. So when you understand, I can actually just go to stop your banking payments for suppose there is an urgent. Suppose we are trying to a company which is buying crude oil somewhere from west, and they need to do a payment. See, a dollar payment or a pound payment or a euro payment is very critical. So the moment you start, if I stop for your payment transaction system for 2 to 3 hours, then in fact what happens is your cost of purchasing the oil increases. This is just an example which I'm sharing, but that is where it comes in. So the revenue which is getting lost, because we are talking about billions of rupees or billions of dollars. So that is where leadership has to come in and understand that the free flow always is very important with respect to in today's volatile market. So another example which I would like to give, very recently one of my client wanted to purchase a big item from an African country which is into spices. So they wanted to do a good transfer, and unfortunately the transfer got blocked, and they said, okay, this is something wrong. But by the moment they realized, it took 24 hours and they had to pay almost 8 to 10% more than what is supposed to be billed. So that is where leadership comes in. I hope I'm answering your question here.
Right, sir, right, sir. Now the cost angle. The it says that an average cost of a breach is $6 million. Really? Then I mean, how can India afford to have breaches?
Okay, great question. Um, See, there are always um, see, financial institutions come with a high cost and high value and high visibility. So when we're talking about the minute, the example where I gave you, the calculation is always based on the rate of at which the money comes in. So as in India, I totally agree. We cannot bear such, and these are very much on adds to your cost of quality, right? Suppose there is a the time is lost, as well as suppose there is a breach happened, then we need to recover the breach. We need to engage an expert. The time lost. So that is where yes, there's a big money which is getting lost. Okay, and the most important part how to stop it or is that the trust is the foundation of business, right? So what happens is the trust which we looks into the the customer, you say for example our CFO says that to the opposite purchase department saying I am releasing the payment in next 15-20 minutes. So the other payment is a cycle. So the other person, and it flows to the end, right? So they commit to other person, they commit to other person, there is an entire revenue flow here. So the moment you stop it at the gate and say that okay, if I stop something at the gate, then entire revenue flow stops. That is where the numbers jack up and actually they get into bigger in size.
So is the somewhere I read, I think in your paper only $10.5 trillion cybercrime projection. Is it realistic or is it an inflated estimate?
No, no, no. It is realistic, Dr. Ghosh. Nothing is because it is always a accumulation which comes into picture. And see, how does the numbers come to? See, basically, every time when we talk about the legal fees involved, the legalities involved, the manpower involved, the time lost, the value of the oscillation of the motion. Um, Okay, so whenever we look into that, that is where it comes in, right? So the so the numbers which we are talking about are realistic in nature. In fact, Dr. Ghosh, I would like to say that many of times the breaches don't even come into public domain, Dr. Ghosh,
Okay.
because it is a reputation of the organizations which are at stake. People do not actually talk about it.
Can you give an example of a recent hack? I think I recall in media,
Um, on a public
not
forum, I
financial,
will.
not necessarily financial.
Uh, yeah, yes, I can give
I
you.
think Amazon Web Services. I think it was hacked recently.
No, no, it was not hacked. It was a DNS issue, which, but the
Oh,
cumulative effect. See, it is called the cumulative effect. Whenever we see something, like in the Amazon, the moment Amazon was down, the all the dependency applications which are hosted on Amazon, it could be financial, it could be scientific, it could be web. All the applications suddenly became unavailable. So that is where the implications come into picture. So it is like the dominoes effect. So you may say, how is my affected? But if your payments are not getting through, because we are all dependent on multi-layer systems when we are actually doing any financial business. So there is a third
okay,
party bank is there. There is an API which is involved. There is a payment gateway which is involved. There is a bank which is involved. There is a sender. There is a buyer. There is an intermediary in between. So if the entire system goes into place, so that is where, okay, the biggest challenge whenever the downtime happens, as you are given example of Amazon, is that we'll take time to identify where the problem is. So that is where it's going to challenge, and the moment there we identified, then resolving and getting back to system is not so difficult because documentation would be there.
I get it. Identification is important. Now, my next question is, why are fintech platforms specifically targeted at such a high rate? Fintech platforms apparently face 75% of the attacks. Why, sir?
You have the Kohinoor with you, so you have the core of business with you. Any business in the world runs of finance, so your balance sheets, your account statements, your payments, everything is a lifeline. See, without finance there is no business, as we began this conversation. So every time you have to pay something, um, like often integrate, as I told you, uh, there are dependencies. So we may not identify, but when I try to target a fintech of a system, I'm hitting the core of it. It could be done by anyone, Dr. Ghosh. So I can say that it could be done by a third party guy who we don't know, or maybe a freelancer who just want to do test something out, or it could be done by somebody who is an adversary to our business.
Right, right. The motive can be different. Yes, yes, yes.
Hmm.
Motive can be different. Now, on phishing, before no, before we go into it, now AI is used both to attack and also to defend. So
Correct.
first, let us discuss how AI being used to attack. How can AI generated phishing emails be, be, uh, not be not be separated from human created ones? What makes AI generated emails so effective? I have not sent an email to you. Yet it seems to you that I have sent an email. How is it possible? How can AI duplicate me so effectively?
Okay, so I'll face it in two different states here. So phishing was there from whenever internet came into picture from post 2000, when WebTR came into picture, emails came into focus, then we could always take from our physical visiting cards, or from our websites, or from the events where we attend, somebody shared our email addresses, and I can identify Dr. Ghosh email ID or Venkateshwarlu's email ID or X email ID, and send them an email wherein you could send it using normal, you can create your own domain and do it. Now, what does AI make it more sophisticated? See, in a world of AI, you can go to ChatGPT or any other platform, wherein in a prompt you can go and say, please get Dr. Rajeshri Ghosh an email ID from the internet, and write a very casual mail to him about like understanding that I can meet him, so that there is some conversation with him. And we can actually write it saying that, oh, can you be more casual, and please respect Dr. Ghosh because he is a prominent person in this. So the entire text gets created in such a way that actually it is a very formal letter and comes to you as if coming from somebody whom you know very well. That makes AI very sophisticated. So it can take mannerism, it can take certain cues saying that how to attract, maybe the cue on how to hook on to the first conversation and things like that.
So I need to have a detector whether this is a AI generated or humanly generated. I need to have a detector. Look, I recently became Dr. Ghosh this year only, and I know there is software to there has been a UGC set rules that AI cannot be used beyond a cap of 10%. 10%. Similarly, the same there's a cap on plagiarism, and so that means there are AI detecting softwares also.
Yes, there are softwares which can detect AI, and a lot of vocabularies also are there. A lot of sophisticated tools which are now Oxford and other major institutes, MIT and other, are building the tools. They have their own methods to identify the false positives. But there can be a case of a false positive, see, wherein they can identify saying that, okay, this is something which is not right. It is too correct to be wrong. So this is something which I tell a lot of people. So you cannot be too correct to be wrong. You cannot be a perfect. We are not Sachin Tendulkar, right? You cannot, even Sachin Tendulkar does not hit four in the six balls, right? So maybe two fours, but rest of the four he plays defense. But if something is playing every ball, every over, every ball he is playing for a four, then definitely there is something different. That is where we have to look at the imperfection. Is sometimes a human trait rather than a perfection.
Okay, now I would like you to elaborate on the impact of deep fakes. Deep fakes have affected star personalities in many ways. I need not elaborate. Now, question is, how have deep fakes affected corporates and particularly fintechs?
Great. So we extend from the same. So when we talk about the plagiarism, we are using AI tools. So the text tools have different method, but today the video tools which are getting created by every day, I can tell you that every day there is a new thing which is coming up in the video world. So we can just take an image. For example, you me and talking on this session, somebody from YouTube can actually take our photographs from this and actually create a video. Even, we both are talking in a public domain, like YouTube has our voice recording, so our voice pattern is there, our photographs is there. They can actually take and create videos, and that is where they can create a video deep fake, in the sense it actually mimics the person. So somebody can call Venkat and say, I am Dr. Ghosh calling Venkat, how are you? Can you do this for me? Very urgent. I am at certain, I'm at that airport. My credit card are not working. Can you just urgently transfer this money to my account so that I need to pay to the air ticket vendor because there's a bump up in the price or something like that? So where do we get, so the images which are getting and the tools which are getting built are getting sophisticated day by day. So in 2025, when we are talking about it, they may be at a stage X. Then in 2026, they at least will be at 3 to 4x perfection.
So, sir, then what is our protection? I mean, deep fake attacks on financial data are so accurate. I mean, how do we protect ourselves? It's not that we.
Awareness. So I have one answer for this. A lot of people ask me, can you create tools? For the deepfakes, we have created deepfake identification tools. For phishing, we have created, we are working on some AI tools to phishing where we can actually put them at the entry gates. But when it comes to deepfakes, suppose we are getting a video call on your personal mobile saying that I am a person X, then I would ask this question to myself: why is this person calling me? He is not supposed to call me. He's not supposed to call me. So why is this person calling me? So I remember a famous saying from Dr. Kushwant Singh in Delhi. He had, I think, a board in front of his home gate saying, "Do not knock the bell unless you are expected." So why should you call me?
Mhm.
Why should I take a call when I'm not expecting the call?
Right.
And the person is not in my contact list. That is the first thing where we can block it.
Okay. Okay. First thing, you then one thing I'm learning from you is apply common sense. Apply common sense before you go into technicalities. That is what I
Yeah.
am learning from you.
Because see, after Dr. Ghosh, after losing money, recovery is a very time tedious, consuming, and you cannot get it. So we have to stop it at the gate. And I think you rightly said common sense.
In this context, we are regularly read in newspapers about digital arrests. People are threatened by fake CBI people, and they transfer money, and then they do regret it. Then why do they transfer money when I know I have not done anything wrong? Then even if somebody threatens me, I mean, it is not in the nature of CBI to come and tell me, if you give me money, I will protect you. CBI will come and simply arrest me. But this common sense is not there in people.
Uh, Maybe, sir, there is maybe a psychological angle into this, sir. Maybe a psychiatrist or somebody into that. There's something called user behavior analysis. So a user behaves differently in different situation. Maybe that person who is on the other side understands that the person or he is telling something very soft or something which is a very personal secret, something like that. And that person, the moment he understands, oh, this is something which only I know, then there is the fear conscious, and from there is the you get into the rabbit hole of it, and there is no point of coming out of it, as you rightly
Then
said.
that then the hacker will do some background research on me before threatening me with digital arrest. That's what you're saying.
Bullseye, Dr. Ghosh, bullseye, you have said it. So the person who is talking to us, who is attacking us, or who is actually doing all this, has done beautiful research on us. And they don't come random, they come with a very good set of data, so that we get to know that, okay guys, this is what he's doing. Yeah.
So question is, if majority of IT professionals are unprepared to counter AI generated threats, what's the root cause of this preparedness gap? How, what is the root cause?
The root cause is something like this. See, whenever we talk about people, or why people are not getting, as you rightly pointed out earlier, due to their schedule. See, why people are, they are aware. There are, I know cases where a lot of people, the moment they get a call, they disconnect and saying, boss, this is some phishing call. But the people come in a different way. So why they do is, we need to understand each and every case. Like, for suppose, I'll give one classic example here. We are, when we need our near and dear in a hospital, so they are in hospital, so we go
Mhm.
to Facebook or Instagram or WhatsApp status. Somewhere we say, boss, we need a B positive blood, around 10 units. The my father or somebody, or mother or somebody is not well, can you give it to me? What
Right, right.
happens? Immediately they get what they get, the hospital details, they get the patient details, they get our contact number. Three things they have. The moment they have
Hmm.
a contact number, they go, maybe they do their research and say, sir, I am coming there urgently. but I am far away. I need around 2000 rupees for the cab taxi to come. So we are in a outside ICU or in the emergency situation. What we would say, okay, itna we are paying so much to the hospital for a blood. I think I for my loved dear, near and dear, I can pay this money. We pay it.
Mhm.
The moment you pay it, they are blocked and you are no more. The human instincts are they cash on the human instinct, Dr. Ghosh.
Hmm. Now, what is the synthetic identity threat? And uh, and there's a percentage attached. 72% synthetic identity threat. What is it, and why is it so difficult to detect?
Okay, okay. The synthetic identity threat is something like this. So um, as a maybe you've seen ChatGPT or this AI tools came uh, into place. Lot of our identifications can be created by using an existing identification. For example, one of the examples which I saw many times, people share driving licenses, not from our country. Let's not limit to country, but there are driving licenses formats available across. So what people
Hmm.
do, they just take the driving license identity, alter the names using again the tools which are available, and you can actually literally see that because it's a digital copy, they alter everything in such a beautiful way that actually it is original, it looks original. So synthetic information is something like this. The driving license number is non-existent, right? So the driving license, there's a DL unique number on the driving license, but that number is a unique, rest of them are duplicates only. Your name, photograph, issuing authority, place of issue, date of issue, but the driving license number is something which is very much unique in India, so each driving license cannot be repeated. So that is where the synthetic comes into picture. So suppose you say, sir, I got this driving license yesterday only, maybe the databases are not upgraded or the systems are not updated, hence that's the reason. But end of the day, you need to have a identification to go through it, right? So the entire phishing, money laundering, which are happening, the mule accounts which you see, people are creating bank accounts left, right, and center. They are using a lot of these tools, and yeah, where there's a
You're
will, there's a way,
hmm.
Dr. Ghosh, for the criminal.
I understand you're giving me an idea, but this accuracy of the driving license number. In that
Hmm.
context, I would like to ask you, a very similar thing, that many fake SIM cards or SIM cards by terrorists have been detected by Government of India and have been deactivated.
Hmm.
Do they have a central database against which such uh, that's
Yeah.
it. Seem,
See, so on the SIMs, I'll tell you, India has one of the robust system, Dr. Ghosh. So lot of SIMs which are getting delivered are actually tracked, monitored, and everything. But there is a gestation period, right? So once you get a SIM, the activation of the SIM will take sometimes it takes certain time. So due to the remote locations of the vendors, or it could be certain geographical conditions or some technical downtime or something like that. So what happens is at this period of time, that is where they use the SIMs temporarily to get it. And the people go to remote locations. Suppose you are in metros like Hyderabad, Calcutta, or Delhi, Mumbai. There, the vendors are very much strict, and
slide
they
right
take.
slide.
So they look at everything. But when it comes to remote locations, there people need to like do the business. So they have a maybe methods wherein the vendors go and give him more cash and get them, and that is where the SIMs are getting generated and they're used. So there's always a loophole which people try to identify.
So, sir, can you uh, uh, run this presentation for us for and our audience,
Me,
or I mean, I- or we will run. You can you explain the slides? Or from which slide shall we start?
We'll continue from where it is existing.
Okay, you can continue.
So, for example, when we look at the organization preparedness thing, synthetic identity are wherein the identification on the new clients are happening. For example, um, there is a there is a client who actually is coming in, and we say that, okay, I want to buy certain things from you. Okay. So he said, okay, where are you from? So I am from a country in Europe, and I have a big business out here. I would like to test your product and buy your product. So what are they going to do? So they are going to do something like this. So they are going to go to systems and create that synthetic identity, and come back to wherein you onboard with your information. So by the time we validate actually a fake customer is getting, or a fake client is getting onboarded. And the bots problem. So the bots problem is the biggest problem in in IT world. So the moment you say, you have so many tools to create a bot which actually bypass security measures, including like uh, like a lot of financial cases where they are mere perfect. They answer all the questions, they answer all the quality gateways, they go through all the necessary updates, maybe necessary compliance thing, and just go through them. So that is where the bots also. So organizational, that's where the organization preparedness comes in. So wherein everybody has to focus on uh, like uh, we have to look into an area wherein we see that, okay, tell the team. See, my point always would be there: go to the top and teach from the top, and say that, okay, this is where you have challenges. Verify, validate. Suppose there is an identity verification, don't use a single method. Use at least 2 3 gateways, saying that, okay, they have a check boxes 1 2 and 3. So one of the example of my client is that, even though they have valid data and internet information about the client, they do use a third party before actually onboarding the customer or a client. So that is where it comes in. So leveraging, again, when it comes to threat detection, this is where I can play a very important role. We talk about is that, what does AI do? The AI always understands something called a user behavior analysis. So, for example, your threat detection is coming in. So threat is, for every normal thing, there is always a threat which is being defined and you have documented. But what about the unknown threat? So the unknown threat is something which is going to be not a regular threat, but something which generated or which can erupted a few seconds back or a few hours back. Okay. For example, again going back to our AWS thing. So when AWS has gone down, there can be somebody who's reaching out saying, "Okay, boss, AWS is down. We have an alternate method. We have our technical team who can help you out." So always we need to understand that always there is a detection speed and there is a detection accuracy in that. So AI can help us to detect the accuracy fast. It always provides the traditional thing, and always the false positives are very important. So false positive is something which is actually you can identify fast using incubation. So a human and an AI will be a beautiful tool to help you to understand your threat detection and threat response. And also, I would like to add here on the threat surfaces. So when we talk about threat surfaces, a lot of times we say that, okay, what is a threat surface? See, your mobile phone is the biggest threat surface. You have your company data, your personal data, your organization data, your SMS, your OTP, your banking data, your organization banking data, your email IDs, your meeting request, your meeting registrations, the people whom you are meeting, your contact list. Don't you think so? The mobile phone has carries such a critical part in anyone. How many of us do we enable two-factor authentication, or how many have two-factor authentication for your WhatsApp and other things? So that is where the awareness and your threat detection comes into picture. So again, the challenge is, you can come back and say, Venkat, what is the challenge? How do you understand, like, provide a seamless user authentication without compromising? But again, the solution is, there are a lot of behavior biometrics technology to validate user by login analyzing, like, user behavior patterns or user behavior analysis, which I was talking to, like, you can say that there's a facial recognition. There could be a, your biometric recognition. See, whenever we go, that is, biometric is a very unique identification, right? Unless somebody copies you and takes a copy of this and creates a sample or creates a duplicate, that is again a very important thing, right? And the most important part would be like, uh, multi-layer. Why should we have a consistent, suppose on a X month we have certain change, you change your passwords, maybe you change your two-factor authentication method, you go for an application A to application B, keep it random. So when you keep something random, people will have tough challenging, or the threat will not be able to understand the behavior of us, and we take it further. So again, the most important is, like, impact would be always there. Behavior biometrics is a subject which is getting discussed a lot in cyber community, and there's a lot of work going on. Maybe a few years down the line, we'll have a very good solution. And as I told you in the in the beginning of this session, like, user behavior analytics is always is an independent for every organization. So even two organizations in the same business cannot have the same threat. So that is where we have to understand, and the human endpoint, I would say, plays a very important role, because human behavior and human traits are actually an advantage sometimes and a disadvantage sometimes, and take it further. So this is one of the enhancing transactional trust with, always a chargeback fraud is there, right? Online platforms always escalate chargeback, saying the significant financial losses. So whenever you say chargeback is so traditional systems is how to do an end-to-end encryption, right? Like, reduction in fraudulent transaction. I'm sure everybody understand what is a chargeback fraud. So implementation of behavior analytics to assess chargeback to risk-based or historical behavior. For example, I'll give an example here. I went to recently to a big sweet shop in Hyderabad, and they very clearly mentioned that international credit cards are not valid. We don't take it. I asked him, what's why? Because there are a lot of tourists who come here and a lot of visitors who come here and who buy sweet from you in at least thousands. Why are you not buying? So the simple answer was, sir, we pay here. By the time they go back to the bank and sell, it is a fraud, and the money is not actually deposited in our accounts. So that is the reason we have taken. We are not considering that. So always an end-to-end solution and an encryption allows us to understand the customer behavior and say, okay, this persona has a certain challenges. Let's do and protect through your transaction life cycle again. Trust and compliance is always a real time, right? So you should have a trust between customer, and you should always meet the compliance standards. Both of them come into picture. Oh, this is a huge subject. Okay, a lot of my friends who may be watching this who understand the quantum computing. So people say quantum computing is a dinosaur. The moment it understands your systems, it can just break the current encryption. Every system in the world will be a risk. Uh, and they could say harvest now, decrypt later. And yeah, it's the biggest threat. And people are working on it. There are experts who are working on it. A lot of information is available in public domain, but lot of information is not available on public domain on with respect to quantum computing. It is just begun, but the kind of thing we say is that I can decrypt anything. So this is the guy who's going to have a key for all the locks in the world. I'll keep my but I wanted to mention it especially here is that yes, this is as a leaders, everybody who's listening here in fintech or a leadership team in the c suite, you have to understand that that the moment it comes in, it comes with a bang, and we need to be more prepared. Yeah. supply chain and third party vulnerabilities. The weakest link is always a supply chain, as we said. So we are having in a process of, so in the supply chain we have multiple layers. One weak link in between, like one of the vendor or one of the supplier in our chain who actually has a vulnerability, the cyber threat always looms to them, and a cyber criminal actually can attack that system and he can poison the entire supply chain. And usage of third party vulnerabilities, that is the reason for supply chain and risk vulnerabilities we have something called a supplier information security requirements. This I'm mentioning particularly here. When you go back and come to see this video, you should understand is that however quality standards we meet, our supplier also has to meet such standards. For example, on employee recruitment or using of a tool. So if your vendor is using a third party tool which is not verified, which is not compliant, and which it can actually create a threat to entire system of ours. So that is right. Always remember, have a big standards, meet all the standards like ISO standard or SOC. So if you go to your vendor and say, do you have a particular certification? They would say, I have a SOC 2 certification, I have a NIST certification. Very good. Can you show one of your tech team can actually validate, or your third party can validate and say, okay, these people are meeting certain standards and we are good with that. So always verify and validate. So always investment in people and technology. I would say always invest in people, train your people. Security is always a revenue enabler. Leadership always the cyber security is always a top-down approach. People from the top, from the leadership team, and from the boardrooms, they have to discuss about it. They have to commit to people, create risk awareness programs, run the program regularly. Each and every employee from top to bottom should be aware of it. And there is always a security risk expertise. We can work on that. There is continuous learning. There's no doubt about it. And talent retention. I would say if somebody knows your system well, retain them. So AI driven solutions comes into picture. Then threat intelligence is something which comes in. Infrastructure modernization, patch updates, very fundamentals. See, I would not say you should go very sophisticated in any cyber environment. You should actually go through the fundamentals. So set up your patches time, have your patches regularly for every product you use. So the CC camera which you are using in your cement plant, or CC camera in your go down, if it is running on a software, update it. See that the user ID password is actually taken care. So again, the imperative two is continuous monitoring. Always go for a faster response. Real-time mobility is there. Get the reports, like how we ask, what is the cash report in the evening? What is the cash flow in the evening? Why don't we ask every weekend, every Friday to the your IT team asking, what is the cyber flow this time? What are the threats which we identified? How many bad hits we have identified? What are the root causes? And do are we ready for this? Most important thing is, how do we how like a past quantum crypto, how are we prepared for any problem? Like you can always ask your IT head, was today if I say there's a phishing attack on our system, what is the fastest way we can recover? Do you have your disaster documentation properly done? Do you have your disaster recovery process tested? Have you done your tabletop exercises? What are the documentation? What is the evidence for it? So it is not for compliance. Always I tell this, you don't need to go and fall back and compliance, sir, we are compliance, hence we are ready. No, no, no. You have to have artifacts showing that. Always do your resilience planning, uh, identify systems, and make it a continuous process. It is not going to be a single time and a single thing. Can we go to next? So always proactive security. Okay, no longer IT issue. I always tell it's a core business risk. Call to action is initiate, always a risk assessment. uh, do it due diligently. Okay, due diligence in the sense everybody should understand what is the risk and how they are assessing, and always identify. readiness audit, establish a security steering committee who can work like on emergency basis. There should be few people who understand it. There are few people who can solve it. I would say that is where it comes in. Top to bottom, talk about security in your board meetings. Maybe have one line item somewhere at the beginning, somewhere in the end, saying, "Can you give me what is the threats landscape and how are we be prepared for any threat?" Or any new employee joining critical roles, wherein the person has a um, maybe critical role. Please understand and identify his cyber profile also, like social media profiles are there, and you have your own ways and means to identify that. So I can take a few questions here. I don't know whether it is open to the audiences, but we can answer all the questions. I don't see any question again. So my always my thing is, talk from the top to bottom, and make everyone is responsible for cyber security, not only the IT team. So cyber security is a responsibility. Uh, okay, there's one question. How I'm experiencing some unwanted and fake followers on my social media page. How to get rid of it? Ignore them. See, the one unfortunate part of social media is that anybody can create anything there, because the validation is not existing in social media. You can create an Instagram ID, you can create a Facebook ID, you can create any ID, because Gmail ID creation is free, or any other ID creation is free. You can create hundreds of IDs. So the only thing, again, I go back to my first thing. Unless the person knows you, why should somebody follow you? Okay, so if they are following, ignore them. Don't worry about it, just ignore and move on. So the biggest is that you need to be a cyber buddha in your social media world, because there are a lot of faceless people who come in, and they may follow it. But yeah, if you there are certain social media pages allow you to block them or delete them, go with it. Okay, so hesitant to spend on IT, how to motivate them? uh, okay, that's an interesting question. um, I don't know. The biggest answer is, so we when do buy insurance or a helmet? Because when we filed on from bike, so people have to understand that with the advent of AI, the is going to get more nuisance. It is going to get more problematic, and each individual it is up to individuals who get attacked, and organizations have a big threat. So it's good time for somebody to go and say, okay. So, and again, when I say cyber security, it's not compliance, PCI DSS, SOC 2, or NIST compliance. No, sir. Cyber security is actually everyone's responsibility. Each one has to understand that their small weakness can be exploited into the system. So our nations have to go, and let's keep our CFOs and our leadership team in good books, and make them happy, and give some few parties to them, so that they can actually give more budget to it.
Any more questions, audience? Or you can write to Indian Chamber later, and we will get them answered by Mr. Madala.
Sure, sir. We are open. So, if you talk to Indian Chambers if you have any problem, and don't worry, not every consultation need to pay money. We do a lot of such things without so definitely we are there to help you. Only thing is that whenever you get a call from a fraudster, or somebody's giving a fake identity, don't get frightened. Don't get panic. First, cool, count numbers, and understand that if he is your friend, why is he calling it late hour? So friends or anyone, don't blackmail us, don't get blackmailed, don't worry about it. Just disconnect and block the calls. In Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, lot of security features are there, enable them. I go back to
To
my
know,
old statement: if you know don't know someone, don't pick their call.
this is for the audience. Mr. Madala has written an article in one of our journals, and that journal is hosted in the name is Startupreneur. It is hosted in our website. You can get his details from and read that article and get his details from there. If not, we are always there. And if there are any no more questions, then we would like to end this session now. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ghosh. Once again, congratulations on the 100 years and a great work by ICC and leadership like you hosting this event. And really appreciate it. And sometime people like me are very good in actually face-to-face conversation than rather than online. Someday I'll address one of your event wherein we can actually talk more easily and better.
Right, sir. Thank you.
And I hope this was a useful session to everyone out there.
Sure, and we have lot of audience. People often view recordings once this gets uploaded.
Sure.
Mm. Okay, sir. Bye. Bye.
Thank you.